10 urban legends that turned out to be true. 10. The body under the bed. Imagine checking into a hotel room, settling in for a good night's sleep, only to be greeted by a foul odor. You complain to the front desk, and after investigating, they discover something horrifying: a dead body stuffed under the bed. This urban legend is not just a spooky tale, it has happened multiple times. In 2003, guests at the Capri Motel in Kansas City, Missouri, complained about a terrible smell in their room. When housekeeping investigated, they found the decomposing body of a man hidden inside the bed frame. A similar incident occurred in Las Vegas in 1999, where a couple unknowingly slept on top of a corpse stuffed under their mattress. Cases like this have also been reported in Florida, California, and even international locations. Because of such incidents, hotels around the world have changed their policies and now require more thorough room inspections, including checking under mattresses and checking box springs. 9. The Bunny Man. In Fairfax County, Virginia, the legend of the Bunny Man has been a source of eerie fascination for decades. The story tells of an escaped mental patient who dresses in a rabbit costume, terrorizing locals with an axe. While the more gruesome details are fictional, the legend is rooted in real events. October 19, 1970, US Air Force Academy cadet Robert Bennett and his fiancée were visiting relatives on Guinea Road in Burke, Virginia. Around midnight, while parked in a field, they experienced a shocking encounter. They noticed something moving outside the rear window. Moments later, the front passenger window was smashed, and there was a white-clad figure standing near the broken window. The assailant, described as wearing a white suit with long bunny ears, threw a hatchet through the car window and shouted, "You're on private property, and I have your tag number." The couple was unharmed, and the hatchet was later recovered by the police. A week later, a security guard reported a similar incident. These encounters, though not as violent as the legend suggests, gave rise to the enduring tale of the Bunny Man. 8. The Killer Clown. This urban legend tells of a babysitter who notices a creepy clown statue in the house. When she calls the parents to ask if she can cover it because it makes her uncomfortable, they panic. They don't own a clown statue. In 1990, an incident eerily similar to this legend occurred in West Palm Beach, Florida. Marlene Warren answered her front door and was met by a person dressed as a clown holding balloons and flowers. Without warning, the clown shot her in the face and disappeared. The case remained unsolved for nearly 3 decades until 2017, when police arrested Sheila Keene Warren, her husband's lover, for the murder. She had disguised herself as a clown to commit the crime, bringing this nightmare to life. Turns out, the urban legend of a killer clown lurking in plain sight wasn't just a myth, it was real. Killer in the backseat. A woman is driving alone at night when she notices a truck flashing its lights behind her. Panicked, she speeds up, thinking she's being followed. When she finally pulls over at a gas station, the driver behind her shouts for her to get out. There's someone in her back seat. This actually happened in 1964 in New York. Carol Chesney, a resident of New York City, experienced a harrowing event that would later become the basis for the killer in the backseat urban legend. After finishing her late shift at work, Carol walked to her car, which was parked in a dimly lit area. Unbeknownst to her, a man wielding a knife had concealed himself in the back seat, intending to attack her once she was isolated. As Carol started her car and prepared to drive away, a passerby noticed unusual movement in the back seat. Sensing something was amiss, this Good Samaritan alerted Carol by shouting and gesturing frantically. Startled, Carol stopped the car and quickly exited, just as the assailant lunged from his hiding spot. Thanks to the timely intervention of the passerby, the attack was thwarted and Carol escaped unharmed. The dramatic elements of Carol Chesney's experience, a concealed assailant, a near-fatal encounter, and a last-minute rescue, captured the public's imagination. As the story was recounted over time, it evolved, with various embellishments and alterations, eventually solidifying into the urban legend known as the killer in the backseat. 6. The vanishing hitchhiker. A driver picks up a hitchhiker, often a young woman in distress. She gives an address before mysteriously vanishing from the car. When the driver visits the address, he learns she died years ago. In 1933 in Chicago, a man named Richard Crowe claimed to have picked up a young woman on Archer Avenue who identified herself as Resurrection Mary. She directed him to Resurrection Cemetery, where she suddenly disappeared from the car. Over the years, multiple witnesses have reported seeing a ghostly woman matching her description near the cemetery, leading many to believe this urban legend is based on actual paranormal encounters. Countless reports match her description, making her one of the most famous real-life ghost stories in history. 5. The Toxic Lady. An urban legend claims that hospital staff once treated a woman whose body emitted toxic fumes, causing them to faint or fall ill. On February 19, 1994, Gloria Ramirez, a 31-year-old woman, was rushed to the Riverside General Hospital in California. She was in critical condition due to late-stage cervical cancer, but what happened next was beyond anyone's imagination. As the medical team worked to save her, nurses and doctors began to faint, suffer from breathing problems, and even experience paralysis. The cause? A strange, oily sheen on her skin and a garlic-like chemical smell coming from her body. One nurse even reported that her blood smelled like ammonia. Within minutes, the emergency room turned into chaos. More than 23 hospital workers became ill, and 5 were hospitalized. The ER had to be evacuated, leaving only a skeleton crew behind to stabilize Ramirez. But despite their efforts, she was pronounced dead. What caused the toxic reaction? No one knows for sure. Some theories suggest that her medications may have reacted in a way that created deadly toxic fumes. Others believe she was exposed to a rare chemical reaction inside her own body. Even today, the case of Gloria Ramirez remains one of the strangest medical mysteries in history, fueling countless theories and securing her place in the realm of terrifying real-life urban legends. 4. Cropsy, the boogeyman of Staten Island. For years, the children of Staten Island were warned about Cropsy, a deranged man who kidnapped and murdered kids. Many dismissed it as a local myth, but the truth was far worse. In the 1970s and 80s, children started disappearing in Staten Island, New York. The disappearances led investigators to Andre Rand, a former employee at the Willowbrook State School, a now infamous institution that was shut down due to horrific abuse and neglect. Rand had a disturbing past. He was known to roam the area, living in makeshift camps near the abandoned mental hospital. Authorities eventually connected him to multiple missing children. While bodies were never found, Rand was convicted in 1988 for the kidnapping of Jennifer Schweiger, a 12-year-old girl with Down syndrome, whose remains were later discovered in a shallow grave near Willowbrook. In 2004, he was convicted again for the 1972 disappearance of Holly Ann Hughes. The chilling events inspired the 2009 documentary Cropsy, which explored the case and the terrifying possibility that urban legends might sometimes be based on horrifying truths. For the people of Staten Island, Cropsy wasn't just a story, he was real. 3. The Death of Elisa Lam. Few modern mysteries are as chilling and bizarre as the case of Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old student from Canada who checked into the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles in January 2013 and never checked out. Her disappearance baffled investigators, but when the hotel released surveillance footage from the night she vanished, the mystery took a terrifying turn. In the footage, Lam is seen inside the hotel elevator, acting erratically. She presses multiple buttons, but the elevator doors refuse to close. She peeks out into the hallway as if someone is following her, then hides in the corner. At times, she gestures strangely, as if talking to someone who isn't there. Finally, she steps out of the elevator and vanishes from view, never to be seen alive again. For weeks, no one knew what happened to her. Then, guests at the Cecil Hotel began complaining about their water tasting foul and having low pressure. Maintenance workers inspected the rooftop water tanks and made a gruesome discovery. Elisa's lifeless body was floating inside one of the sealed tanks. Her death was ruled an accidental drowning, but many questions remain unanswered. How did she gain access to the locked rooftop? Why was she acting so strangely in the elevator? And most disturbingly, was someone or something following her? The case has fueled countless theories. Some believe she was murdered, others say she was suffering a psychotic episode, and some even claim paranormal forces were involved. The Cecil Hotel itself has a dark history, known for multiple suicides, murders, and connections to serial killers. To this day, no one knows the full truth about what happened to Elisa Lam, making her story one of the most chilling, real-life urban legends of our time. 2. The Black-Eyed Children. Stories of pale, black-eyed children knocking on doors and begging to be let in have circulated online for years. Most people dismissed them as creepy internet myths, until reports surfaced of real-life encounters. One chilling case occurred in Vermont in the 1950s, when a woman claimed 2 children with pitch-black eyes knocked on her door during a snowstorm. The moment she let them in, she felt sick and dizzy. Her husband, terrified, threw them out. Later that night, both of them reported mysterious nosebleeds and visions of the children standing outside their window. To this day, similar encounters continue to be reported around the world. 1. The Green Man. Imagine driving down a dark road at night when, suddenly, you see a figure lurking in the shadows. His skin has a greenish glow, his face is horribly disfigured, and he wanders alone in the darkness. In Pennsylvania, locals have whispered about this ghostly figure for generations, calling him the Green Man or Charlie No-Face. But this isn't just a spooky story, it's based on a real person. Raymond Robinson was an ordinary boy until tragedy struck. In 1919, at just 8 years old, he climbed an electrical pole near Morado Bridge to get a closer look at a bird's nest. The high-voltage wires sent a powerful shock through his body, melting his face and severely disfiguring him. He lost his eyes, nose, and most of his right arm. Doctors didn't expect him to survive, but he did. However, his appearance made life incredibly difficult. People stared at him, children screamed, and some even ran away. To avoid cruel reactions, Raymond only walked at night, using a cane to guide himself along Pennsylvania's roads. Over time, drivers spotted him wandering in the darkness, and rumors spread that he was a ghost or a mutant. Some said his skin glowed green due to the electrical accident, though this part of the legend is false. Despite the fear he inspired, Raymond was not a monster. He was a kind, quiet man who just wanted to enjoy the outside world. Some locals even befriended him, offering him cigarettes and beer during his walks. The real Green Man wasn't a ghost. He was a man who survived the unimaginable, only to become an urban legend. Urban legends thrive because they prey on our fears, but the most terrifying ones are those that turn out to be true. Whether it's a hidden killer, a paranormal entity, or a real-life boogeyman, these stories remind us that horror isn't just found in movies. Sometimes it's lurking just around the corner. So next time you hear an urban legend, ask yourself, could this be real? Because as history has shown, sometimes the answer is yes.